What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer taking a look at Punk Dragon Link. What I'd like to do over the next few days, or over the next week, I should say, more realistically, is there's a lot of different Punk like variants out there. Adventure Punk, there's Punk Therion, and a whole bunch of a slew of other stuff where Punk just gets thrown in. Dragon Link being one of those. I think this is a little bit more of a niche thing. I see less people playing this, and it's more like Adventure Dragon Link, which I also want to look at. So the thing about these combo, and just any dragon combo that you see in general, they're just ideas now. Like, this is a combo deck, like, to its purest form. Like, there aren't mainline combos. There's ideas, like you want to go into Chaos Ruler as fast as possible. Maybe Hot Red, the new Borderland Link monster is really good too. So it really comes down to how creative can you get when it comes to deck building and like just seeing lines of play, because it's almost always going to be different on some level. So we'll take a look at this one, and like I said, don't take this for gospel. Like, you're probably never going to pull off the same combo, but there's certain principles that I'll point out, and we'll just go from there. Okay. Oh, this combo, by the way, comes from a DB Grinder video. I'll link it in description. It's usually where I find these combos. I think they're just good, like, things to look at, so you kind of have better understanding how these decks work. And that's just kind of how the series is. And, okay, so Emergency Teleport. This lets you summon a psychic monster from your hand or deck. So this card recently came off the ban list, like, because of Virtual World and now the Punk stuff. Because, the ban list, while it is, like, does get rid of problematic cards, some of it is about marketing. So if you have a really good card on the ban list, but there's new support that goes good with it, you could see it come off exactly like this. The card's really good, so I hope it stays around, honestly. Don't think it needs to go back into the ban list. Okay, so this lets you summon out Z-Amin. So you get to pay 600 life points and add a Punk monster from your deck to your hand. You don't have to worry about pretty much the other effects. They're just used as combo pieces to go into Hulk and other such things. Before, it was like a one-card Hulk, like full combo thing. But now it's actually just like literally like Hulk, keep going. Because of a few other cards, but we'll go over all of them. Okay, so Foxy Tune, which is the card that you added. So you basically get to send itself and another card. It can be anything. And then you get to special summon a Punk monster from your deck, which is pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and summon Deer Note. So this is one of the cards that's really been popularizing this engine. So I think people are cutting it down to like one and other such things, but it's still around because it's just so good. But you can reveal one other Punk monster from your hand, especially from this card. That's fine. But it says when it's sent to the graveyard, you can target one Punk monster in your graveyard, except a level 5 monster. Special summon it, but you cannot special summon Punk Deer Note for the rest of this turn, which is perfectly fine. So basically, it helps you with the card advantage that you're losing with Foxy Tune, because it brings something back. But those can go into Chaos Ruler. So this is pretty much like the big boy of the deck. Like, this is what almost every strategy I can think of, or anything that uses Punk, is going to go into Chaos Ruler like 99% of the time, if not 100. So what this card does, it lets you send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And then if you do, you get to add one Excavated Light or Dark. So there's so many things, like Water Enchantress being one of those, for the Adventure Engine. Snow, Absa Router. So again, this is like a 1-for-1 rendition from a game. So it could be anything, but this is what happened to them. And then Deer Note obviously wanted to do Chain Link 2 to bring back Z-Amin, because it's just a tuner. That's all that matters. Also, this card can bring itself back by banishing a light and a dark. It's wild. It's just so good because it helps you go into like Hot Red Archfiend, or you can just use it for Link monsters. It just comes back and just does so much for you. So yeah. So a lot of, like, one card you'll see around the format, pretty much like guaranteed, is Snow. Like, almost everybody plays it because you can dump it with shooting Quasar Dragon, or it just gets milled in this case. But you can see also here on the mills, not the greatest thing in the world, right? Basil Rose Shoot and Rocks Rose. So it kind of changes your lines of plays a lot, because these are like big extenders, right? You summon Red Rose, and then when it's used as Synchro material, which you can use with like the Adventure token or whatever, you get to get Rocks Rose plus the Basil Rose Shoot. So you don't have either of those anymore. So you kind of have to change what you're thinking about here. Okay, so Absa Router was sent to the graveyard. When it's sent to the graveyard, you get to add a rocket monster from deck to hand. Already had a Tracer, so this just really helps, with the extension there. And we can turn those into Hulk, just a tuner or non-tuner. So Halifibrax lets you summon a level 3 or lower tuner from your deck or hand, which is all you need to know. But Red Rose Dragon comes out. It's a level 3 tuner. And you can use Chaos Space. So this card's obviously pretty insane. So you get to send 1 light or dark monster from your hand to the graveyard. Add 1 light or dark monster that cannot be normal summoned or set from your deck to your hand with a level from 4 to 8 and with a different attribute than that monster. So basically just the opposite. So you can send a Rocks Rose, which is what you added off of the Chaos Ruler, right? And you can get a white dragon Wyvern Buster. Wyvern Buster. So this card just says it can't be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by banishing 1 dark monster from your graveyard. So you can just go ahead and banish the souls, it was dumped off the Chaos Ruler anyways. And you can combine all those in Appaloosa, right? Because normally you try to go for some sort of synchro play with like Red Rose, like I was just talking about. But because of that, you can actually just go into Appaloosa, which is really good in Dragon Link. Because if you think about, Pisty, it just requires like a link zone to point to, which is really hard to do in normal circumstances. But Appaloosa is actually pretty decent with that. So it's 2,400 attack, so it's a decent size Appaloosa for sure. So when white's sent to the graveyard, it basically lets you search its counterpart, which is Black Dragon Clop Serpent. And they kind of do the same thing, they just search each other, which is what you're going to do now. So this can only be special summoned from your hand by banishing a light monster from your graveyard. Actually, it's kind of important that you do White Dragon Wyvern Buster. It's not the craziest thing in the world, but it does come up. Because what you want to do is shuffle this back, so Chaos Space lets you shuffle like one of them, a light or dark monster. And then you get to place it on the bottom of the deck, then draw a card, which is pretty cool. And like when you turn this into Pisty, you then get to search white, which is just a free extra card. So that's why you want to do that, because if you had done Pisty first, well, you wouldn't be able to like search it, right? Because it would already have been, it still would have been in the banish pile. But okay, in this case, they drew Illusion of Chaos. It's really just discard fodder, so it can kind of be just a blank, really. But okay, like I said, that's why you did this, because it can search white again. So you can grab it to your hand. And then this makes Pisty, so all this has to do is point to a link monster. They have to share one. And this has all down arrows except for that one up top. And it does have to be summoned to the zone it points to. So it has to be in this one. It doesn't matter in this combo, but for future references. So you can bring back like a Rocks Rose. It's not too important actually. It just has to be a dragon, a level 4 lower dragon. You can turn that into Striker Dragon. So Striker Dragon searches Boot Sector Launch. Then you could turn those two into a Romulus. And Romulus searches Dragon Ravine, which is another field spell. And then you can activate the field spell. This lets you discard 1 card and send a dragon monster to the graveyard. I don't think they ended up using this in their combo. I'm sure there's probably a different way they could have gone about this. But this is just a good example. Like, this is just a good card that is in Dragon Link right now. It kind of silently came off the ban list and hasn't really been used too much, but I think it found a really good home, in Dragon Link. So you just get to target a level 6 or lower monster, special summon, it loses that level, so it can go into stuff like Borreload, Savage Dragon, or whatever the case may be. If you have any like special cards in your extra deck, or in reality, could also be used as link material too if you need to. But Boot Sector Launch lets you summon up to 2 rocket monsters from your hand. I don't know really like why they didn't special summon Rocket Synchron in this case. I don't think it ended up mattering, because if you can believe it, haven't normal summoned yet, which is just crazy. Although I guess, I was going to say, like, I mean, it had to be like Nib Effect Failure for that to make sense on some level. Because then at least you'd have like Hot Red negate, and they'd have what, 3 cards in their hand, so 4 during their turn, like versus 1 Hot Red. But it's better than like nothing, I suppose. So maybe that was the reason why. But this is cool. So this is another kind of interaction you should be familiar with in Dragon Link. So Rocket Tracer can target Quick Launch because it's quick effect, which is insane. So basically you get 2 rocket monsters, right? Because you target this, especially on a rocket monster. So you can, bring out a Recharger with the effect of Tracer, and then you can just bring out another Tracer, because you're always playing 3 in Dragon Link. It's just such a crazy card. So those can go into Borreload Savage Dragon, which can equip, Christian Halifibrax. Give a little bit of attack, but it gives you that 2 Boral counters. Rocket Synchron, when it's normal summon, you could target a level 5 or higher Dark or Dragon monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, but its effects are negated. And this is like pretty wild stuff. So this is what I would do. So this diverts a little bit from the video that's in the description, but I say you make IP first. And then you'll see here in a second, this is like really kind of a newer card. It didn't come out that long ago. That's Boral and Dragon. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. So you might be wondering, like, why would you use IP? It's like, that's stupid, right? But if your opponent, like, Dark Ruler no mores you, like, they still have to destroy this by battle, which is easier said than done, because, you know, IP inherently protects it. It can't be negated. But, like, if you just have it on your board, and I'm sure it's in your extra deck, like, when other time would you use it? So you might as well, you know, just use it right now. At least that's how I think about it. But if you've never read this card before, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Also, neither player can target this card with monster effects. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, and it just gets better and better. You can quick effect. You can target one effect monster on the field and one rocket monster in your graveyard. Negate the effect of that monster on the field, and if you do, special summon that other monster from your graveyard. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. So it can attack all of your opponent's monsters, like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. I think it might actually have the same attack too, which is kind of funny. And it's also an on-field, like, hot red for monsters. That's, you know, but that's still really, really good, and also brings stuff back for you. So that means you get to do some really cool stuff during your turn, meaning that, you know, Chaos Ruler can bring itself back by banishing a light and dark, and then you can use the effect of Borland to target it to bring back a dragon, and that's going to be, I think it's a rocket, right? Is that what I just said? Yeah, you target a rocket monster. So that rocket synchron that we had, so this is an 8, this is a 1, that makes 9, and then you can, of course, go into Hot Red Archfiend Abyss. Shoo. So when you negate something with Borland during your opponent's turn, you bring something back. It's funny, I think this person straight up lost at Mystic Mine. But obviously, like, this is an insane end board. Very vulnerable to Dark Ruler no more, unfortunately. So that's why I don't know if this is the best version of, you know, Dragon Link. It's certainly not horrible, I'll say that. But it's good to get familiar with these Dragon Link cards, because I really feel like this is one of the best decks of the format. Just Dragon Link with whatever. I don't know what the best variant is, but I do know that Dragon Link is insanely powerful and is really only brought down because it has such a bad matchup against Despia. Not even the worst in the world. It's just super polys. Obviously, just a game ender. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I will see you guys next time.